In the sleepy town of Hollow Pines, where the air carried the scent of pine needles and chimney smoke, Lena Carver thought she knew her life. At 32, she was the heart of the town's only bakery, her hands dusted with flour each morning as she kneaded dough under the flicker of a single bulb. She'd been married to Theo for 7 years, a quiet man with a carpenter's calloused hands and a smile that once lit up her world. Together, they lived in a creaky house on Maple Lane, surrounded by towering evergreens that seemed to guard their little corner of the world. But lately, the warmth had faded. Theo's late nights at the workshop had stretched longer, his excuses thinner. "Big order for the city," he'd mutter, avoiding her eyes. Lena chalked it up to stressing till the whispers started. A neighbour's offhand comment about seeing Theo's truck near the old mill, a place he had no reason to be. The way his phone buzzed at odd hours, screen angled away from her. Small cracks in the life she'd built, widening with every unanswered question. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the pines, painting the sky in streaks of orange and violet, Lena found herself alone again. Theo had left hours ago, claiming another late job. The house felt too still, the tick of the clock too loud. Restless, she grabbed his jacket from the hook by the door, intending to hang it properly when something slipped from the pocket and clattered to the hardwood floor. A bracelet, simple, silver, with a single charm shaped like a crescent moon. Lena's breath hitched. She knew that bracelet. It belonged to Mara, her closest friend, the woman who'd stood beside her at her wedding, who'd laughed with her over coffee just yesterday. Mara, with her wild auburn hair and a laugh that filled rooms, who'd been quieter lately, distracted. Lena's fingers trembled as she picked it up, the metal cold against her skin. Why would Theo have Mara's bracelet? Her mind spun, grasping for innocent explanations, a gift, a favor, anything, but each one crumbled under the weight of doubt. She shoved the bracelet into her own pocket, her pulse racing, and stepped outside into the chill. The street was silent, save for the rustle of leaves skittering across the pavement. Over the next 2 days, Lena watched them. Theo's quick glances toward the window when Mara's name came up, Mara's sudden excuses to leave when Lena pressed her about her day. It was subtle, but it was there a thread of something unspoken weaving between them. That night, Theo came home late again, his boots heavy on the porch. Lena waited in the kitchen, the bracelet hidden in her fist. "How was work?" she asked, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "Fine," he said, too quick, shedding his coat. "Just tired." She nodded, forcing a smile. "You've been busy lately. Everything okay?" His eyes flickered guilt, fear, something canned. He shrugged. "Yeah, just the usual." But it wasn't usual, not anymore. After he went to bed, Lena slipped into the living room, where his phone lay charging on the table. She hesitated, guilt gnawing at her, but the bracelet burned in her pocket. She tapped the screen awake. No password, he'd never needed one. The messages were there, buried under a thread labeled work. From Mara. "Missed you today? Tomorrow at the mill?" Lena's stomach dropped. The mill. The neighbor's words echoed back. She scrolled up, each line a knife. "She doesn't suspect anything. Can't stop thinking about you." Dates stretching back months. Her hands shook as she set the phone down, the room spinning. She stumbled to the sink, splashing cold water on her face, trying to breathe. Her husband, her best friend. The betrayal clawed at her chest, raw and unrelenting. But she wouldn't confront them, not yet. She needed to know how far this went, needed proof she couldn't deny. Outside, the wind howled through the pines, carrying the faint sound of a truck engine starting in the distance. Lena froze, peering through the window. Theo's truck was still in the drive, but another vehicle glinted under the streetlight, pulling away from Mara's house across town. Too far to see, but close enough to wonder. She sank into a chair, the bracelet digging into her palm, tears blurring the edges of her vision. Hollow Pines wasn't so small after all, not small enough to hide this. And as the night deepened, one thought crystallized. Whatever came next, she wouldn't let them bury her in their lies. Lena barely slept that night. The bracelet she'd found in Theo's Jaquita cold silver thing, engraved with Mara's initials, burning a hole in her pocket. The betrayal gnawed at her, fueled by the cryptic text messages she'd glimpsed on his phone. Late-night meetups, vague excuses, all pointing to her best friend. She lay in bed, Theo's steady breathing beside her, a cruel reminder of the life they'd built, now crumbling. When dawn slipped through the curtains, she rose silently, padding to the kitchen where a mysterious envelope waited on the table slipped under her door the night before, unmarked and unopened. Her hands shook as she tore it open. Inside was a single-typed note. "Theo Carver is not who he says he is. Meet me at the old mill at midnight, if you want the truth. Come alone." No signature. Lena's breath hitched. The old mill, the same place Theo's truck had been spotted, the same place mentioned in his texts with Mara. Was this a trap, or the key to everything? She stuffed the note back into the envelope, her mind a storm of doubt and determination. She couldn't trust Theo any, but could she trust some anonymous informant? One thing was clear. She needed answers, and she wouldn't find them sitting still. That afternoon, as Theo left for another late job, Lena made up her mind. She'd go to the mill, but first, she had to face Mara. Mara's cottage was picture perfect, ivy curling up the walls, the air inside thick with the scent of coffee and cinnamon. Lena's stomach twisted as she knocked. Mara answered with a smile that flickered too briefly, a crack in her usual warmth. "Lena, I wasn't expecting you," Mara said, her voice overly cheerful. "Come in, I'll make tea." "No, thanks," Lena replied, stepping inside but hovering near the exit. "I just need to ask you something." Mara's brow creased, but she nodded. "Sure, what's going on?" Lena pulled the bracelet from her pocket and held it up. "I found this in Theo's jacket. It's yours, isn't it?" Mara blanched, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "Two must have dropped it at your place. You know how clumsy I am." "Don't," Lena snapped, her voice trembling. "I saw the messages, Mara. I know about you and Theo." Mara froze, her facade crumbling. Then, shockingly, she burst into tears. "I'm so sorry, Lena. It was a mistake, it just happened. We never meant to hurt you." Lena's anger surged. "A mistake? You've been sleeping with my husband for months. How is that a mistake?" Mara collapsed onto the couch, hands over her face. "I know. I hate myself for it. Theo said you two were struggling, drifting apart. I was lonely and… I don't know. I fell into it. So it's my fault?" Lena's voice cracked. "Because we were drifting apart?" "No," Mara looked up, eyes red. "It's not your fault. It's mine. And Theo's. You deserve better than us." Lena's fists clenched. "Why, Mara? Why him?" Mara's voice shrank to a whisper. "Because I've always loved him, Lena. Even before you two met. He chose you, and I tried to move on. But when he started confiding in me, one thing led to another. I'm so sorry." The confession hit like a punch. Her best friend or confidant had harbored this secret all along. Lena turned to leave, but Mara grabbed her arm. "Please, don't tell anyone," Mara begged. "It's over, I swear. I'll leave town if you want, just." Lena jerked free. "Don't touch me. I can't even look at you right now." She stormed out, the cold air stinging as she walked home, Mara's words echoing in her skull. The betrayal was a knife, but the note and the mill promised more. She needed the full truth, no matter the cost. That night, Lena drove to the old mill under a moonlit sky. The structure loomed, decayed and skeletal, its broken windows like empty eyes. She parked a distance away and approached on foot, her pulse hammering. At midnight, a figure emerged from the shadows near the entrance seat-hall, cloaked in a dark coat, face hidden by a hood. Lena stopped, breath shallow. "You came," the figure said, voice low and rough nail, maybe, though distorted. "Who are you?" Lena demanded, keeping her distance. "What do you know about Theo?" The figure tossed a folder at her feet. "Everything you need is in there, proof of what he's been doing." Lena hesitated, then picked it up. Inside were bank statements, emails, records all in Theo's name. Her eyes widened. "What is this?" "Embezzlement," the figure said. "He's been stealing from his clients for months. The affair with Mara, that's just the surface. He's planning to run soon." Lena's stomach lurched. "Run? He's got a ticket to Mexico, next week, taking the money and disappearing, with Mara." "No," Lena shook her head, clutching the folder. "He wouldn't." "He would," the figure cut in. "Check the last page." She flipped to a divorce petition signed by Theo. He'd planned to ditch her after he fled, leaving her penniless. Lena sank to her knees, papers slipping from her hands. Why tell me this? The figure stepped closer, shadow looming. Someone hired to investigate him. I think you deserve the truth before it's too late. Who hired you? She whispered. Not important, they replied. What matters is what you do next. Confront him, or let him go call. But if you want to stop him, you'll need more than that folder. Lena's tear-blurred eyes met the darkness. What do you mean? He's meeting Mara here tomorrow night, the figure said, nodding at the mill. Finalizing their plans. If you want proof a revenge be here, don't come alone. Bring someone you trust. It might get messy. Before she could answer, the figure melted into the shadows, gone. Lena knelt there, the folder pressed to her chest, the truth a crushing weight. Lena spent the day after the informant's revelation in a fog, her hands mechanically kneading dough at the bakery while her mind churned. Tucked under her mattress was a folder of damning evidence, bank statements, a hidden divorce petition, a plan to flee to Mexico with stolen money. Each detail stabbed deeper, but she wasn't ready to confront Theonot until she had proof in her own hands. That evening, she waited until Theo left for another late job. Slipping into his workshop, she inhaled the familiar scent of sawdust and oil. His tools were meticulously arranged, but her eyes caught on a locked drawer she'd never noticed before. With a hairpin, she pried it open. Inside, she found stacks of cash, new passports, and a one-way ticket to Mexico City, dated for next week. Her breath hitched as she spotted a torn family photo, her smiling face beside Theo's discarded at the bottom like trash. Tears welled up, but she forced them back, snapping photos of everything with her phone. She needed evidence, no matter what she decided next. Later, Theo returned home, his smile too wide, too rehearsed. Hey, love, how was your day? Lena mirrored his casual tone, masking the storm inside. Fine. Busy at the bakery. You? Same old, he said, hanging his coat. I'm beat. Think I'll turn in early. He started toward the bedroom, but Lena's voice stopped him cold. Theo, wait. We need to talk. He paused, tension rippling through his shoulders. Can it wait? I'm really tired. No, she said, sharper than she meant. It's important. Theo turned, his eyes narrowing slightly. All right, what's up? Lena steadied herself, then let the words spill out. I know about the money, Theo. The embezzlement. The plan to leave. His face drained of color, his mouth opening to protest, but she pressed on. Don't lie, I have proof. Silence stretched between them, heavy and suffocating. Then Theo's shoulders slumped, defeat settling in. How did you find out? Does it matter? Her voice quivered despite her resolve. You were going to abandon me, take everything, and run with Mara. Theo stepped closer, his eyes pleading. It's not what you think, Lena. I was trying to protect you. Protect me? She laughed, the sound bitter and hollow. From what? Your own crimes? He paced, running a hand through his hair. There's more to it. Someone's been threatening me, forcing me to take the money. If I didn't, they'd hurt you. Lena frowned, doubt threading through her anger. Who? I don't know, he said, voice low. Anonymous notes, calls from blocked numbers. They said if I went to the police, they'd come after you. I thought if I could get enough cash, I could pay them off, and we could disappear together. Her heart twisted, caught between suspicion and the faint hope he might be telling the truth. And Mara? Theo's gaze fell to the floor. She was a mistake. I was scared, and she was there. But I never planned to leave with her just to get us both out of this mess. Lena studied him, searching for the man she thought she knew. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed a text from an unknown number. Mill. Midnight. Don't forget. She glanced at Theo, who hadn't noticed. I need some air, she said abruptly. We'll talk later. He nodded, relief flickering in his eyes. Okay, I love you, Lena. She didn't answer, grabbing her coat and stepping into the night. At the abandoned mill, Lena parked in the shadows, her pulse racing. The informant had suggested bringing someone she trusted, but who could she call? Mara was out of the question, and her other friends were blissfully unaware of her unraveling life. She went alone, clutching a flashlight in one hand and pepper spray in the other. The mill loomed ahead, a skeleton of rotting wood and broken beams, moonlight casting eerie patterns across the floor. Footsteps echoed, and the informant emerged, hood still obscuring their face. "You came," they said, voice muffled. "Who are you?" Lena demanded. "And who hired you?" The figure hesitated. "I'm Elias, a private investigator. As for my client, they're someone with a vested interest in Theo's activities." "Like who?" she pressed. Elias shook his head. "Can't say, but they're offering to help you if you want to stop Theo." "Help how?" "By providing evidence to the authorities, ensuring he doesn't get away. But you need to decide, do you want him caught, or do you want to confront him yourself?" Lena's thoughts spun. If Theo was being threatened, maybe there was another way out. But if he was lying again, a noise outside cut through her thoughts. Headlights swept across the mill's entrance, followed by the slam of a car door. Elias cursed softly. "Someone followed you." Panic flared. "Who?" "Stay here," he ordered, melting into the shadows. But Lena couldn't stay still. She edged to the window, peering out. A figure approached, silhouetted against the car's taillights. As they stepped into the moonlight, Lena's breath caught. It was Mara. Mara entered the mill, her face streaked with tears, a gun trembling in her hands. "Lena, are you here?" Lena stepped forward, hands raised. "Mara, what are you doing?" "I followed you," Mara said, her voice breaking. "I know about the money, the plans. Theo told me everything. He's leaving with you, isn't he? After all this, he's choosing you." Lena's blood ran cold. "Mara, put the gun down. Let's talk." Mara shook her head, tears falling faster. "I loved him first, Lena. You stole him from me, and now you're taking him away again." Elias moved silently behind Mara, but she sensed him whirling with the gun. "Who's there?" Chaos exploded. Elias lunged, Mara fired, and Lena screamed as the shot rang out, reverberating through the mill. The gunshot still rang in Lena's ears as she stood rooted to the spot, staring at Elias sprawled on the mill floor, his hand clutching his bleeding shoulder. Mara's face was etched with horror, the gun now lying at her feet, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Theo burst through the door, his eyes frantic as he surveyed the chaos. "What the hell happened?" Theo yelled, racing to Elias's side. He tore off his jacket and pressed it against the wound. "Lena, call 911. But Lena was paralyzed, her mind a whirlwind of Mara's confession, Elias's cryptic revelations, and Theo's web of lies. "Theo," she whispered. "You're here." Theo looked up, his face ashen. "I followed you. I knew something was off when you left. Lena, please help me." Mara sank to her knees, sobbing. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to stop him from taking you away." Lena's eyes snapped to Mara, fury igniting within her. "You shot him because you're jealous? After everything you've already done?" Mara's cries intensified, but Theo interrupted. "Lena, we don't have time. Elias needs help." Snapping out of her stupor, Lena fumbled for her phone and dialed emergency services, her voice trembling as she relayed the address. Elias groaned, his eyelids fluttering. "The client? Tell Lena. It's not just about Theo." "What?" Lena dropped to her knees beside him, grasping his hand. "Who hired you, Elias?" His breathing was labored. "Someone who knows the truth. About Hollow Pines. About the money and the land." Before she could press further, the faint wail of sirens pierced the air. Theo rose, pacing nervously. "We need to get our story straight. If the police find out about the embezzlement..." Lena whirled on him. "You're still thinking about yourself? Elias could die." Theo's jaw clenched. "I'm thinking about us, Lena. If I go down, so do you. We're married, your name is on everything." Her stomach lurched. He was right. If Theo's crimes unraveled, she'd be entangled in the fallout. But as the sirens drew closer, a new question gnawed at her. What did Elias mean about the land? The next few hours blurred to paramedics rushing Elias to safety, police grilling them with questions. Lena offered a partial truth. Mara had followed her to the mill, Elias was a friend, and the gun discharged by accident. Mara, still dazed, didn't dispute it. Theo remained tight-lipped, his anxious glances betraying his unease. As dawn painted the sky, they were released, but the burden of secrets lingered. Back at home, Lena cornered Theo in the kitchen, her voice low and sharp. "What did Elias mean about the land?" Theo sighed, rubbing his temples. I don't know. But there's something I haven't told you. Lena's heart sank. What now? He hesitated, then retrieved a folder from his workshop distinct from the one Elias had provided. Inside were aged maps of Hollow Pines, property deeds, and a letter from decades past. This town was built on a lie, Theo said softly. The land, the mill, sits on its worth millions. There's oil beneath it. Lena's eyes widened. Oil? How do you know? My grandfather told me before he died. He was part of the original settlement. The founders knew but kept it hidden, passing the secret down. The mill was a front. They intended to sell the land, but the plan collapsed. Now, someone's trying to snatch it up cheap, and I think that's why I was being threatened. Lena's thoughts raced. So the embezzlement was it to pay off a blackmailer, or were you trying to buy the land yourself? Theo flinched. Both. I thought if I could raise the funds, I could claim the land before anyone else. But someone found out someone who wants it for themselves. Who? Lena demanded. I don't know, he admitted, but I think Mara does. Lena tracked Mara to her cottage, where she found her packing a suitcase, eyes swollen from crying. You're leaving? Lena asked, blocking the exit. Mara nodded, avoiding her gaze. I can't stay after what I did. I'll turn myself in once I'm out of town. No, Lena snapped. You owe me answers first. What do you know about the land under the mill? Mara froze, hands trembling. How did you? Elias mentioned it before he passed out, and Theo filled in the rest. What's your role in this? Mara slumped onto the bed, defeated. I've known about the oil for years. My father was a founder too. He left me documents, but I didn't care until recently. Then I saw Theo poking around the mill, and I realized he knew too. Lena's anger flared. So you seduced him to get information? Mara's face crumpled. At first, yes, but then I fell for him. I thought if we secured the land together, we could start over somewhere else, but he was going to cut me out, take you instead. Lena's chest tightened. So you blackmailed him? Mara shook her head vehemently. No, I didn't wait blackmail. Lena frowned. Theo said someone was threatening him, forcing him to embezzle. It wasn't me, Mara insisted. I swear, I just wanted us to be together. I didn't know about any threats. Lena scrutinized her, searching for deception. But Mara's confusion seemed genuine. If she wasn't the blackmailer, then who was? That night, Lena lay awake, piecing together the fragments. The oil, the land, the threat-sore roads led back to the mill. And Elias's client, who were they, and what was their endgame? Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from an unknown number. Meet me at the bakery, midnight. Come alone. I have answers. Lena's breath hitched. Another cryptic summons. But this time, she'd be ready. She slipped out of bed, grabbed Theo's old baseball bat from the closet, and drove to the bakery, nerves alight. The shop was dark, the faint aroma of yeast and sugar lingering. She unlocked the door, bat in hand, and stepped inside. A figure sat at the counter, cloaked in shadow. Who are you? Lena demanded, tightening her grip on the bat. The figure turned, and the dim light revealed a face she hadn't seen in Yersha's estranged brother, Finn. Finn? She gasped. What are you doing here? He smiled, but it was devoid of warmth. Hey sis, we need to talk about our inheritance. Lena stared at her brother Finn, his face half-shadowed in the dim light of the bakery. He looked older, harder, with lines etched around his eyes that spoke of years spent away from Hollow Pines. The deed to the mill lay between them like a loaded gun. You're Elias's client, Lena repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. You hired him to investigate Theo. Finn nodded, his expression unreadable. I needed to know what Theo was up to. The land under the mill, it's ours, Lena. Grandfather left it to both of us, but Theo's been scheming to claim it for himself. Lena's mind raced. Wait, both of us? I thought the deed was in your name. Finn's jaw tightened. It is, technically. But grandfather's will specified that the land belongs to the family to be shared equally. Theo must have found out about the oil and thought he could manipulate you into signing it over. Lena's stomach churned. He wouldn't. Wouldn't he? Finn cut in, his tone sharp. He's already betrayed you once. What makes you think he'd stop there? She flinched, the weight of Theo's affair with Mara still raw. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why hire Elias instead of coming to me directly? Finn's gaze softened, but only slightly. We haven't exactly been close, Lena. After I left town, you made it clear you didn't want anything to do with me. Lena's chest tightened. Their falling out had been brutal. Finn's reckless behavior, his gambling debts, and the night he'd nearly burned down their childhood home in a drunken stupor. She'd cut ties to protect herself, but now, seeing him here, old wounds resurfaced. That was years ago, she said quietly. Things are different now. Are they? Finn stepped closer, his eyes searching hers. Because it looks like you're still letting people walk all over you. First Theo, now Mara. Lena bristled. I'm not here to rehash the past. If you have something to say about the land, say it. Finn sighed, pulling a chair and sitting across from her. The deed is contested. There's a corporation, some big oil company that's been sniffing around Hollow Pines for years. They know about the oil, and they've been trying to buy up the land cheap. Grandfather refused to sell, but now that he's gone, they're circling again. Lena frowned. And you think Theo's involved with them? I don't know, Finn admitted. But Elias found evidence that Theo's been in contact with their lawyers. He might be trying to broker a deal behind your back. Lena's heart sank. Another layer of betrayal. So what do we do? Finn leaned forward, his voice low. We need to secure the deed legally before Theo or anyone else can claim it. I've got a lawyer ready to file the paperwork, but I need your signature. We're family, Lena. This is our legacy. She hesitated, doubt creeping in. Finn's sudden return, his convenient timing, it all felt too neat. Why now, Finn? After all these years, why come back for this? His expression darkened. Because I owe it to grandfather, and because I don't want to see you lose everything to a man who doesn't deserve you. Lena's throat tightened. She wanted to believe him, but trust was a fragile thing, especially with Finn. I need time to think. Finn's eyes flashed with impatience, but he nodded. Fine, but don't take too long. The oil company's moving fast, and Theo's not far behind. As he stood to leave, Lena grabbed his arm. Wait, did you know about Theo and Mara? Finn's gaze hardened. I suspected. Elias confirmed it. I'm sorry, Lena, you deserve better. He left her there, the bakery's silence pressing in around her. Lena sank into a chair, the deed clutched in her hands, her world spinning further out of control. The next morning, Lena drove to the hospital to check on Elias. He was stable but unconscious, the bullet wound serious but not life-threatening. As she sat by his bedside, her phone buzzed a text from Theo. We need to talk. Come home. Reluctantly, she returned to the house, where Theo waited in the kitchen, his face drawn and pale. Lena, I've been thinking, he began, his voice unsteady. Maybe we should leave Hollow Pines, start fresh somewhere else. Lena's pulse quickened. What about the land? The oil? Theo's eyes widened. How do you? Finn told me, she said flatly. He's back, Theo, and he knows everything. Theo's face contorted with anger. Finn? That deadbeat? He's lying to you, Lena. He's probably after the land himself. He has the deed, she countered, and he says you've been talking to oil companies. Theo's fists clenched. I was trying to protect us. The oil company's been pressuring me. They threatened to expose the embezzlement if I didn't sell. I thought, if I could negotiate a deal, we'd be set for life. Lena's head spun. So you were going to sell our family's land without telling me? It's not your land, Theo snapped. It's Finn's, and he's a liability. You know that. He's still my brother, Lena shot back. And you're the one who's been lying to me for months. Theo's shoulders slumped, defeat washing over him. I'm sorry, Lena. I thought I could fix this on my own, but now, I don't know what to do. For a moment, Lena saw the man she'd fallen in love with, flawed, yes, but trying. But the cracks in their marriage ran too deep, and Finn's return had only widened them. I need space, she said quietly. I'm going to stay at the bakery for a few days. Theo nodded, his voice barely audible. Okay, just be careful. Finn's not who you think he is. That night, Lena slept fitfully on the bakery's cot, her dreams plagued by shadows and whispers. She awoke to the sound of breaking glass. Heart pounding, she crept to the front, where a brick lay amidst shattered shards, a note tied to it. Stay away from the mill, or you'll regret it. Fear gripped her, but so did resolve. Someone was desperate to keep her from the truth, and she needed to know why. She dialed Finn's number, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hand. "Finn, it's Lena. I'm in. Let's secure the deed." Lena's breath hitched as the two men in suits stepped closer, their footsteps reverberating off the cold steel walls of the bank vault. The taller one, with a chiseled jaw and eyes like frost, spoke again. "Miss Carver, we need to talk." Her fingers tightened around the crumpled letter from Theo, the safe deposit box behind her spilling its secret stacks of cash, forged documents, and a truth she could barely process. "Who are you?" she asked, forcing her voice to hold steady. "FBI," the man replied, flipping open a badge. "I'm Agent Harris. This is Agent Lee. We've been tracking your husband's embezzlement scheme for months." Lena's stomach twisted. Embezzlement? But he stole over $1 million from his clients, Agent Lee interrupted, his tone sharp as a blade. "And we believe he's about to skip the country." Her mind spun, Theo's words from the letter searing into her thoughts. "Take the money and run. Don't let them find you." Was them the FBI? Or something worse? She swallowed hard. "I didn't know any of this," she said, praying her shock would mask any tremor of doubt. Agent Harris studied her, his gaze unrelenting. "We believe you, Miss Carver, but we need your help to bring him in. Cooperate, and we can keep you safe." "Safe from what?" she pressed, her pulse racing. "From the people Theo's tangled up with," Agent Lee said. "He wasn't just skimming for himself. He's linked to a syndicate using Hollow Pines as a front for money laundering." "That oil land? It's alive. They've been drilling illegally under the town for months." Lena's legs nearly buckled. "Illegally? But my brother, Finn, is clean," Agent Harris cut in. "Finn came to us after uncovering Theo's dealings. He hired Elias to dig up proof without tipping Theo off." The realization hit her like a wave. Finn's sudden return, Elias's investigation, the threats it all connected. So Theo was working with criminals. Agent Lee nodded. "He got greedy, then scared, tried to pull out, but they wouldn't let him go. That's when he started planning his exit, leaving you to take the fall." Anger surged through Lena, mingling with a pang of pity for the man she'd once loved. "What do you need from me?" "Help us draw him out," Agent Harris said. "He's gone dark, but we think he'll reach out to you. When he does, set up a meeting. We'll take it from there." Lena's breath caught. Betraying Theo felt final, like severing the last thread of who they'd been, but clinging to a liar who'd already abandoned her felt absurd. She thought of Mara's tear-streaked confession, Finn's quiet strength. She owed Themand herself this ending. "I'll do it," she said, her voice resolute. For 2 tense days, Lena waited, holed up in the bakery where the warm scent of bread offered a fleeting comfort. Finn stopped by once, his eyes softening when she explained the plan. "You're doing the right thing," he said, gripping her hand. "When this is over, we'll rebuild together." But Lena wasn't sure what together looked like anymore. Too much had broken, and she needed space to find her footing. On the third night, her phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Meet me at the mill, midnight. Come alone. Theo." Her heart thudded as she forwarded it to Agent Harris, who replied instantly, "We'll be ready. Stay calm. Follow the plan." At 11:55, Lena pulled up to the old mill, its skeletal frame looming under the full moon. She stepped inside, the air thick with dust and the ghosts of Hollow Pines' past. Theo stood in the center, his face hollowed out, eyes flickering with desperation. "Lena," he whispered, stepping toward her. "You came." She raised a hand, halting him. "Don't. Just tell me why, Theo. Why all of this?" He slumped, defeated. "I thought I could fix our debts, give us something better. But I got in too deep. The syndicate, they threatened to kill me if I stopped. I was going to take you with me, I swear." "And Mara?" Lena's voice cut like glass. Theo flinched. "A mistake. I was weak, and she was there. But it's always been you." For a heartbeat, Lena almost believed him wanted to see the man she'd married in his pleading eyes. But the divorce papers, the hidden passport, the lies, stacked too high. "It's too late," she said, her voice breaking. Before he could answer, the mill doors crashed open. "FBI! Hands up!" Agents stormed in, weapons drawn, flashlights slicing through the dark. Theo's face twisted in panic. He lunged, grabbing Lena and yanking her against him as a shield. "Stay back!" he yelled, his voice cracking. Fear spiked through her. "Theo, let me go. It's done." "I can't go to jail," he rasped, his grip bruising. "I won't make it." Agent Harris edged closer, calm but commanding. "Theo, you're digging a deeper hole. Let her go, and we'll talk." Theo's breath came in jagged gasps, his eyes darting. Then, with a sudden shove, he pushed Lena aside and sprinted for the back exit. Agents shouted, boots pounding after him. Lena stumbled, bracing herself against a rusted beam. A scuffle echoed, then a gunshot rang out, sharp and final. Silence fell. Agent Lee reappeared, his face tight. "He's gone." "Gone?" Lena's voice trembled, dread pooling inside her. "Had a car stashed out back," he said. "We're tracking him, but he's got a lead." Lena sank to the floor, relief and exhaustion crashing over her. Theo had slipped away, but the weight of his betrayal was lifting at least for now. In the days that followed, the FBI unraveled the syndicate's web, arresting operatives and shutting down the illegal drilling beneath the mill. Finn's name was cleared, the land secured under their family's trust. Mara turned herself in, owning her part in the affair and the shooting. Though Elia's no on the mend let it go. One crisp morning, Lena stood outside the bakery, the town sprawling before her like a familiar stranger. Hollow Pines held scars, but it was still hers. For the first time in months, she felt a spark of hope. Finn joined her, his smile cautious. "What now?" Lena inhaled deeply, the mingle of pine and yeast grounding her. "Now, we rebuild, together." As they turned back inside, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You think it's over? Think again." Her blood chilled, but when she checked, the screen was blank, the message vanished. She shook it off, a trick of her weary mind. The shadows over Hollow Pines had faded, for now.